So we are going to look at building a thriving community and through social entrepreneurship. And the next stage for many of you that are considered social entrepreneurship already is to bring a community lens to your work. And for those of you who are just starting and new to the social enterprise world, I hope that you will be able to vision or envision social entrepreneurship from a community lens. So let's talk about the Kootenays. I couldn't get a lot of data around for West Kootenay for East Kootenay for some reason. I don't know why, but maybe that's something we need to fix. But there are some data in West Kootenay. So we're going to kind of use West Kootenay as a case here in this slide. But I just want you to pay attention to a few things. We are rich in land, people, and we have local pride. In West Kootenay alone, incomes total are about 5.2 billion. And this is like data from like 2021, 2022. So things probably has increased. But the part that bothers me is this. By 2031, it's forecasted that our workforce will have reduced by 42%. This is not me saying it, it's Pacific and Canada economic data. By 2031, there will be 39% drop in the number of available jobs. And the 35% of remaining workforce will be around retirement age. So I love that someone said momentum. In the next 6 years, we are in things have been forecasted to look like this. So for me, this is not bad news. It's an important opportunity. It's a critical and important opportunity for us because we can fix this. And those of us in this room already thinking entrepreneurially, I almost kind of feel like this is a calling and this is a clarion call to begin to work in a different way that strategically helps address this gap that we would soon experience. So this is why, as you think about your own social enterprise, and you think about, it's important to think about the larger ramifications of your work beyond just your sector or your area, because this is looming. And my whole argument or thesis today is how might we leverage individual work in a collective way to address some of these critical economic issues that lie ahead of us. That's really my big question to us today. This is being forecasted. Data is not real until we allow it to happen, especially forecasted data. So it means that we can definitely make it happen. And I'm not the type that really likes to motivate people by fear. So I hope that this is not sounding like, oh, this is going to happen or bad. But I hope that we are seeing this as an opportunity for impact. And we are seeing critical areas where our work can directly or indirectly make some impact. The fundamental base of social entrepreneurship is equity. Money is good on one side, but we should never the data is from I'm gonna put a link in the chat. When you Google the economic profile of West Kootenay, you will see it. I don't have the link, Andy, but if you just Google economic profile of West Kootenay. This will come up. Okay, I have it in, I'll drop it on the chat now. So how can we all work collectively is the key question today. And a simple already existing approach is to look at the principles of community wealth building. And I don't know how many of you are already familiar with community wealth building. If you are, can I see like a wave of hand in the room so that I don't spend a lot of time on this slide? Okay, yes, of course, Robin. Um, that is Robin's whole work. Yeah, okay, awesome. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time here and just kind of explain what this really is about. Um, even the Canadian government has adopted this principle as a way to grow, and it's a way to really grow local economies and to grow locally, leverage local resources and keep local resources in such a way that it helps to grow our economy locally. So it's the key question is how might our economy serve us and not extracted from us as a community. So it's built around this 8 principles. One that prioritizes labor over the capitalist that's investing. One that prioritizes local ownership, not just only individual local ownership. I mean, individual local ownership is a good place to start, but collective local ownership is where we hope to go through democratic participation. So how might we start social enterprises that are owned by multiple people in our community? How can we, through that, leverage wealth circulating within our community? How can we improve or attract local investments? How can assets that are available be shared, but also leveraged to be used in an inclusive way? How can we begin to make place-based decisions and really think about sustainability and growth from a place-based mindset? In the last month, my team has been doing a lot of research around scaling growth from a place-based perspective. And we got to a conclusion that it's so hard to actually define growth the moment you introduce place-based into it, because it just means something else entirely. So sometimes it is not growth that is needed for some things, it's just maintenance when you lend a place-based mindset to it. And but before we can abandon Western um, definition of growth, we must have a degree of agency and power. And that comes by when wealth is distributed and everybody feels like they can confront the people that are playing the piper and change the tune. So long investments are still coming from outside and in a way that it has a controlling power, then we won't have that agency and power. So the call for this mindset is how can we create a local system change that is place-based or build a local system that gives power to the local people, that gives the capital, the asset, the influence to local people, and they have utmost power for self-determination. So that is really the fundamental larger call. So in a community like ours, it will look like on a basic level, would look like we have community-owned enterprises, not just something that belongs to one individual. We would have local finance, the impact investment, the venture investments are sourced and co-invested by local people. It will look like fair work generated through and for all of us. It will look like local spending. People are empowered to spend. There is almost complete set of supply chains that are local enough, that are local. So what you sell, what you and your production, there we can begin to, like what China is literally doing. If any community can ensure that they produce and add value to that product locally, you can maximize the profitability of that resource. So if you produce, are you able to add value? Are you able to process and complete the production process locally? So that kind of encourages local spending, and in a way that our lands then begin to serve us as people. So this is what it might look like. So my challenge to every one of you as you're beginning to, if you've started social enterprises already, or you're about to start, is what is the next step for my work? You don't need to apply all 8 principles. You don't need to apply all 5 principles. What is that one next step that we can think about to adopt in our work? How can our work become more community oriented in a way that serves in any of this way? What is the minimal thing, or the smallest thing we can contribute? So we are looking at building local assets. We are looking at inclusive ownership. We are looking at approaches that helps to regenerate our lands and culture. And we are looking at a long-term generational change as a collective vision. So this is adopted from Rural Social Enterprise Manifesto. And we, at the end of today, we hope that we would begin, if we have the time, to consider what might a Kootenai-wide Rural Social Enterprise Manifesto look like. How can we work together? How can we journey together? How can my work affect your work? How can the work that Amanda is doing influence the work that Vicky is doing, or the work that Dan is doing? How can we envision all of those together and claim a hold and be in control of power? So basically, all I've been trying to say is that community and your social enterprises needs to work together. And the next layer of strategy for every one of you is, how does community come into this work? I mean, strategically, how might you leverage community to grow? And also, how might the community leverage you to become economically and socially a better place? I have a few examples. Now, I have to warn you, not all of these examples are classic. I'm going to point out the classic ones, but there are models that already exist. Like Amanda's example of the work you're already doing is a typical example of how a community wealth organization should operate. Multiple projects, interconnected, serving each other. And I think the next challenge for you will be how to really bring community into that. And I'm going to point out some of the examples. So Stellar Circle is one of my clients. Creston Valley is an organization, Creston Valley, this project in Creston Valley is something we are working on right now, building with Creston Valley Chamber of Commerce. I'm going to spend more time on those 2 examples. So Stellar Circle was founded years ago, and what they've done that is really beautiful is to leverage needs and resources and the community. So they are first an employment type organization, and they were offering these employment services. But they realized that training people for employment does not guarantee that they will get a job. So we need to create a job for them. They realized that there are a lot of seniors around. So what if we find a way that these people can provide services to seniors? So they created a path where people can get jobs. They realized housing was a problem. they started offering housing. But they realized that they were spending a whole lot on maintaining those properties. So they created a arm of their organization again that trains people to maintain buildings. It is driven by need. It is driven by that interest to support the society, but leveraging the community to do the work. So it will look like this organization does a lot, but fundamentally it is that it has wrapped itself around community. Stellar Circle is not a classic example because it's not community owned as a principle. So that's why it's not classic. So you'll see how it does housing, mental health support, employment programs. They even have an inclusion choir, which came out of a group of people who like to sing. And they created a room for them in their building where they could have choir practice. And it's all a thing that raised money by itself now. Again, what is the community saying and how can we be part of it? How can we leverage the assets that we have, the time, the resources that we have? That element of your business or organization that you've not really found purpose for might just be what the community needs to meet some certain needs. Creston Valley, the work we are doing in Creston Valley, um, Jessica had this amazing idea to create an exhibition and an exhibition, a community exhibition in Creston Valley, where people can have large events as the events are growing. But then we took her through a route that she did not intended. We decided as a principle that we need to first ask the community what they needed. So we brought 21 nonprofits around the community together one night and asked them, what are all your problems? What do you see in community and stuff? And at the end of the day, we realized that there are key gaps. There are infrastructure, of course, but there are also a lot of smaller needs that people have that can be met. So in the business plan we've developed for Creston Valley Chamber of Commerce, this is not saying Creston Valley Chamber of Commerce because it is being built to be community owned, a potential cooperative that is owned by maybe about 21 nonprofits together, who will then share resources and assets to build this out. The vision is the place, a place that is an innovation hub where organizations can share space and have space. But we also realize that businesses need a lot of professional services, and there are just a whole lot of professional services all around the town, but nobody is bringing them together. So this project will start by bringing professional service providers together and broker a relationship where people can then access local professional services. One of the things people complain about, we hate that consultants come from Alberta and Kelowna and take all of our money away. Now we have this project will train local consultants and keep that money locally. The interesting part of for me is the assets. Many of these organizations have speakers, they have banners, they have um, um, all sort of things that they could rent out, but they are not making social enterprise revenue from it because they don't want to manage rentals, because they don't actually know that those things that they've spent half of their budget to buy this year could make money. So what if a group steps in and does asset rental management? You don't need to do anything. They rent your assets out. It is insured and it's protected for you. And all the different nonprofits knows that where that asset is. So the first thing we did in this project was to create a list of assets. And both just physical assets alone, we found about 80 rentable assets. And these are things organizations need. So your organization can just make passive income by renting those things out and it's protected. So again, this is an ongoing project that being developed, but you could begin to see how we can adopt social entrepreneurial thinking in a very collaborative sense and look at our community as a as an interconnected system, and our needs and our skills and talent, our assets from an interconnected point of view. And we would begin to see a lot of possibilities that would open up to us. So that is really my key message today. There are these other examples here. We'll make the slides available so you can also see them. They are not very classic, but the key message is how different projects, different social enterprises, however dissimilar they look, can actually connect in a system and work together in a more fluid flow with a better flow to both work towards economic development. So what we are learning today is that assets are levers of growth, and don't discount any asset that your organization have, no matter what it is. It helps community, but also helps you from a social entrepreneurial thinking perspective. And challenges become shared mission. And in Cresting Valley, we realized all the organizations have similar challenges, and we can collectively solve that. Joint ventures spark innovation. So don't run your social enterprise alone. For those of you just starting, my call to you is think like that from beginning. For those of you who are already established, my question to you today is, who is out there, or what is out there? The innovation in this is to find how dissimilar work can interrelate and complement each other. And rural resilience is a community-led effort. It has to start from us. And when we work in mass, we can challenge our funders. So rather than them telling us, for my story, one of the things that social entrepreneurship helped me to do is to be able to challenge my funders. I grew up in international development. At 18, I was already doing around $250,000 from diplomatic funding. And that's like 16 different projects. I was running mad as a kid. So I had to like, no way, these people can't from you. I have to find a way to fight for agency in such a scenario. And I have learned that if it could work with US State Department or US Embassy, it could work with our local funders that we even know. And it's when we work together in mass, when we are all saying the same thing, when we are saying we want funding for that, we don't want that funding, we can begin to have some power. But that collectiveness and understanding how we interact in a system is critical. I'm very conscious of time, but I'm hoping that our collaboration will spark a lot of things. That then your work will go to explore youth-led tourism and work with indigenous community to bring that lens into even the work that you do. I'm hoping that we would look at how community can co-own our all of the things we are building. And is there an opportunity for a shared procurement model that keeps dollars local, or that gets significant concession from outside providers? So these are some examples and provocative, hopefully, way of, I'm hoping that I'm challenging how we think about all the different aspects of our work, our value chain, our supply chain. They are the powers that we hold in economic negotiations, and we are more powerful together when we think about negotiating as a community.